What's up, guys? How's it going? So today I wanted to go over the 5 most crucial mistakes home buyers make when purchasing a property. Now, I know that purchasing a property is extremely scary. It's the fear of the unknown, and some people are used to being in, let's say, a couple $1,000s in debt, but buying a home is going to put you hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, which is crazy. But today I wanted to go over the 5 mistakes that people usually make. So let's go. So these tips are for people who haven't bought a house or have bought a house in the past, and it doesn't matter what season it is, what the market's doing. These are 5 crucial mistakes you need to avoid. So the first mistake you can make as a home buyer is simply using the pre-qual that your lender gives you to go off of for your budget. So when you get your pre-qual letter from your lender, it's going to be the max, the top of your budget is what you could afford, and they take into account your gross income, and this is not after taxes, not after you pay off your debts. So this is a mistake that a lot of home buyers make. Lenders give you the top tier of what you can afford. So first things first, before you go off and purchase a house with your pre-qual letter at that max price, you and your significant other, or if it's just you, need to take a step back and go over your expenses and what you actually net each month after taxes. So you got to keep in mind that realtors and lenders don't give a crap about your budget. What they're going to try to do is get you into a house, and that's all they care about, so they can collect their commission income. Crazy for a realtor to say that, right? But I'm just being honest with you guys. So what they're going to do, debt to income ratios, conventional, they're going to take 50%, and if it's FHA, they're going to use 56%. What they're going to do is they're going to take your gross monthly income and multiply it by 0.50 or 0.56 if you're FHA. They're going to take your gross income times that 0.50 or 0.56, and they're going to subtract it by your monthly debt. You gotta remember that even though, let's say, you qualify for a $6,000 mortgage from your lender, they're not taking into account to federal income tax or state income tax, depending on where you live in the US. So your monthly take home might be closer to, let's say, $5,000, $4,800, just depending on how you work your taxes. So you don't want to be house broke. You got to remember, you don't want to pay more than half of your monthly income to a house. You need to use this money to survive, live, have in your bank account just in case something changes with your work-life balance, and not be house poor. Everyone has a different story. What I would suggest is being around that 30 to 35% mark after you and your significant other take a sit and realize what your actual income is net, not gross, but net, and spend around 30 to 35% of your net income and allocate that to your house. Ultimately, you and your partner, or just yourself, you need to make the ultimate decision of how much you want to allocate towards your home. You could have side hustles. You could be qualifying with just one spouse, and you could have more income than, maybe your lender qualifies you for. I don't know. Everyone's different. Every situation's different. But if you like to take vacations, if you might have medical bills that you need to think of in the future, this is something you definitely need to sit down and think about before purchasing your next home. You can go FHA and have 3.5% down, or if you're going conventional, it can range between 10, 20, 25%. Or if you're all cash, then obviously you don't get a loan. And if you're putting down all cash, maybe think about lending me some money so I can go out and try to find some deals for you and make us both money. How about that? Just kidding. I usually tell my clients to have at least 6 months saved in their separate savings account. I don't care if it's liquid, in the market, or what have you, just for emergencies. This will keep you safe, and it will make me sleep better, as well as you and your family sleep better, just for emergency purposes. The last thing you want to do is blow all your money on a house and not be able to afford it. Not done with the second savings account. We need a third savings account. So usually I tell my clients to have, roughly around $5,000 to $6,000, and this is set aside for your house, just in case something goes wrong, especially if you're purchasing right now in this crazy seller's market. A lot of the times you're not getting homeowners or sellers to fix things within the house that need to be fixed, whether it's an old AC unit or if it's an old water heater. It's eventually going to break, and you want to have that money aside for your home, aside from the fact that you already have that second savings account with 6 months in advance of payments as an emergency. And if that's not the case and you're struggling to get into a house during this crazy market, that $5,000-$6,000 that you set aside for potential fixes could also be used to bribe the seller a little bit more. It'll allow you to go over asking and compete with other people trying to buy the house, so you can eventually win the house that you want to be in for the rest of your life, or maybe just a couple years. But this little cushion can help you compete in a competitive market like it is here in 2021. A lot of the times buyers just kind of realize that they want to purchase a house maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, but they don't set out a timeline for themselves, and it can be very overwhelming for them and add a lot of stress on top of their jobs, on top of their family, and other things. So right now we need to put together a little schedule for you. So first, you want to make sure you got that pre-qual, which usually takes 1 to 2 weeks. After that, once you have your pre-qual, you'll have a home showing phase, which is sometimes between 0 and 2 months. Maybe you're lucky, you see the home that you really like and you get into it. Or, I've shown clients for about a year just because they can't pull the trigger, and it gets a little more real once you have that pre-qual letter and you're going into houses and noticing different aspects about the house that you like or you do not like. So it kind of helps you narrow your search down once you're out looking for homes, whether you wanted a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom. Maybe you switch that up a little bit, or now you want a backyard. So you got to keep that buffer room and make sure that you know that you're not going to be moving into your house within 2 weeks. So put that on your timeline, 0 to 2 months, just depending on if you're in a rush or not. Could take even longer. And then once you're under contract, usually it's a 30-day escrow. Again, if you're all cash, it's going to be a lot different. And if you have all cash, give me a call, leave a comment. But usually that period will be 30 to 45 days. And right now, since it's a seller's market, sellers are dictating how long these escrows go. So, if a seller here in California is moving to a different state, sometimes they want a 45-day escrow just to make sure they have that extra time to ship all of their belongings to, let's say, Texas or Florida. And sometimes sellers are ready to move and they want a shorter escrow, and maybe that shorter escrow is going to help you get into that house. So you maybe put a 25-day escrow, making sure that your lender can close on time. So you need to add this to your timeline. Obviously there can be some wrenches thrown in the process. So once you get pre-qualified, there could be something wrong with your credit. You might have to go back and fix your credit, and this can throw a wrench in the process of getting you pre-qualified, and could take another 1 to 2 months. And while you're in escrow, maybe your lender is having trouble closing, and you went with a cheaper option, maybe like Rocket Mortgage. No harm on Rocket Mortgage, not talking bad about them, but I've had a bad experience with a client, and maybe escrow goes a little bit longer, which will put you in a bad position as a buyer, especially if your lender is not performing, because this gives the seller an option to cancel on the contract. So some wrenches can be thrown into play depending on where you stand financially with getting pre-approved, as well as who you go with as a lender. I only bring this up because if you're renting right now an apartment, or maybe your home's for sale, or maybe you live with mom and dad, you need to start this process, I would say 6 months before you want to be in a new home. Just like I just mentioned, there can be a lot of wrenches thrown in the process, so that's the only reason why I'm bringing this up. A lot of people think that they can just move right away, and that's just not the case. Once you have all this knowledge, now you're able to make all your own decisions and not rely on your lender as well as your realtor. So you'll have everything mapped out, and you'll be ready to go. This will also let you control the situation. You won't have your lender or realtor trying to push you into a house. You can tell them to just hold on, hold your horses. I started earlier, and according to my timeline, I don't have to be in another house for another 3 months. So I know you're trying to make a quick payday, but this isn't the house and I'm not in a rush. So I want to go see more homes and make sure I'm in the right house. Don't always go for the golden goose. So what I mean by that is don't always go for the nicest house on the block. Usually sometimes there is, let's say 7 houses that hit the market on a Friday, and showings are going to be insane because all of these houses are completely remodeled and they look picture perfect. Well, guess what? You don't want to chase all of those houses because you might end up overpaying for the house and or being outbid. You're going to be paying a premium for these homes just because they're completely remodeled and don't need any work, especially in a competitive market like today. You're going to be going 40, 50 grand over asking, and your emotions are going to get involved because you want that perfect house. You might get more emotional when you're putting out offers on these houses and getting outbid. So a lot of the times I tell my clients to not chase that golden goose. Since we had that third savings account, you can go for the homes that aren't as dialed as the premium golden gooses that I'm talking about, and you have that money set aside to go for the houses that might need a little bit more work and make it exactly how you want it. And in most instances, you're not overpaying for these homes and paying that premium like you would for those 4 or 5 homes that just hit the market that are picture perfect that everyone wants because they've seen it on HGTV. So you already set aside that money, so you're already dialed, ready to go, and you can make that not so good looking goose a perfect golden goose. For the past 10 years, people have been writing the appreciation of the recovery market. They've made hundreds of thousands of dollars. They haven't had to do anything to their house. It's just appreciated. And so number 5, I would definitely say don't buy for appreciation in this market in 2021. No one knows what's going to happen. If you watch my previous videos, you can see that I talk about what I think is going to happen in the market and if the market's going to crash. A lot of headlines, a lot of people saying that the real estate market is going to crash and or correct. And right now we're seeing prices level out a little bit, but I would definitely tell you not to buy for the appreciation. And of course, buying real estate is still a great investment because you're paying down that note every single month. But if you're planning to buy and ride out appreciation and sell your home, in 2 to 3 years and think you're going to make 100 grand, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm definitely thinking you're not right. The appreciation over the next few years, watch my other videos. I don't think it's going to be as crazy as it's been, maybe 2-3% increases. But once you buy a house and you sell in 2-3 years, you have all of the selling costs involved as well as taxes to pay on that little bit of money you might have made for riding a little appreciation wave. You could be in a market that's rapidly appreciating, and you can leave me a nasty comment and say I'm completely wrong, but right now, within the next 5 years, no one knows what's going to happen in the market, so don't bank on that appreciation just buying a house and thinking you're going to get rid of it. Obviously, long-term investment is a completely different story. Highly suggest buying for a long-term investment, let's say over 8 years, but by knowing these 5 crucial mistakes not to make, this will put you in a better position when buying your next house and making sure that you're prepared. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.